A middle-aged man taking someone else's child towards the exit of a supermarket. Yes, it was me. Whilst doing my weekly shopping at a huge supermarket, 30 tills. At the back of the supermarket I noticed a young boy about 4 years old. On his own and crying his heart out. I asked him whether he had lost his mother and he nodded. I told him to follow me to the customer's service and they could give a shout out on the loudspeaker to inform the mother. As we walked towards the customer services, which was located near the exit door, his mother appeared and yelled at me, "Were you taking my son?" I tried to explain that I found him crying and was taking him to customer services so that he could reunite with his mother. She accused me of child abduction and called the police. I quickly left the supermarket before the police arrived. I won't be assisting any lost kids in the future. Am I the A** not following the serial killer etiquette? So this other serial killer has been following and studying this family for ages and was nearly prepared to do the deed of **riding them. This family then moved into my street and I thought to myself, that because this family now live on my street, they can be mine. So I'm **ridered them and now this other serial killer is P** set at me for **riding a family he wanted to **ride her for ages. Now one of the etiquettes is that serial killers only K**ll among their own area. Since this family moved into my area they are now mine, even though this other serial killer has been wanting them for ages and even studying them. This other serial killer is threatening to give my identity to the police, which is also against the serial killer etiquette. So both me and this other serial killer might have done things against the serial killer etiquette. Who is the bigger asshole here? American Werewolves 2022 documentary about dogmen in North America. Small Town Monsters has quietly released their excellent documentary on dogmen. I was able to find the links on YouTube and have posted them below. I first heard about this documentary from Josh at Paranormal Roundtable. It was just released this year. The encounters and eyewitnesses tell stories that have not been heard before by the cryptid community. The only story that is covered that I've heard was of the famous Land Between the Lakes massacre in 1982. I apologize for being absent from my moderating duties. I have been at a new job and received a promotion which takes the majority of my time. I am starting my own YouTube channel soon, where I discuss and cover folklore and cryptid sightings. I will keep you all updated as I get it done. Edit: links I posted were copyright claimed on YouTube. It's no longer available where I found it. You'll have to search or pay for it somewhere else. Are there any skeptics here? As much as I enjoy reading this subreddit, I can't help but roll my eyes at the amount of comments that are 100% certain that they have seen a Mothman or a Skinwalker. I'm not saying that these things don't exist, but logic dictates that they're probably not these things and that there's a reasonable explanation. And don't get me started on that bloody astral projection or shaman be * locks. Edit: well, thank you all for your responses. I've never really used Reddit all that much because my past experiences have convinced me that this is not a good place to be, but 99% of you have persuaded me otherwise. I posted this solely to K*ll sometime while on holiday and you did not disappoint. The Wi-Fi in the hotel is atrocious, but I'm trying to read and reply to everything as quick as I can. Edit: understand that I have not spelled skeptic wrong. It's simply the English spelling. Skeptic is the American spelling. Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights? So I heard this urban legend, and I thought it was super creepy. So basically a girl, let's name her Melissa. She's a college student and decided to go to a party. So she told her roommate at her dorm that she was going out. Her roommate said okay, and that her BF is coming over. So at 2 a.m. Melissa comes back and hears a lot of noise in the dorm, so she decides to wait a little bit outside in case she was gonna interrupt anything. So after an hour, Melissa decides to put headphones and not to turn on the lights and go to bed cause she was super drunk. So she went in the room and slept. In the morning she wakes up to her roommate brutally **ridered and on the mirror with blood written, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights?" End. By the way, this is my first post. Hope I did good, smiley face. Boyfriend talking to air while living in a creepy family member's house. My boyfriend and I were in bed sleeping. I stopped sleeping because I heard the bed moving side to side. It was clear Omething was shaking him. It was a few hard shakes that were very strong. So I slowly turned towards him to see. What I saw shocked the heck out of me. He was setting up making some incoherent mumbling sounds. Talking to something. I looked in front of him and saw nothing in the dark room with only a yard light from the light post shining in through the windows. I saw him moving his head up and down in agreement with nothing I could see, then lay back down and continue to sleep. I was very confused and scared, but I managed to return to sleep and talk to him about it the next day. He claimed he felt nothing. Nor did he remember having some weird conversation with some unseen entity. Dad let us know he made it. My dad passed on August 19, 24 from a very short battle with an aggressive cancer. He passed in his house surrounded by family. Once everyone else left, me, my mom and sister were sitting in the living room with his body. We were talking about good memories with him, and all of a sudden one of the lamps in the room starts strobing. It never ever did that before, and the bulb wasn't loose. We checked after, so there was no reason for it. I jokingly said, "Dad, is that you?" And the other lamp in the room immediately starts strobing as well. We were in shock. I said, "You made it to the other side, right, Dad?" And they strobed even faster. Eventually the second lamp stopped and we turned off the first one because my mom was freaked out. It was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced in my life. But I was glad to know Dad made it. Did you have an inexplicably weird, impossible thing happen to you as a kid? As a kid, I had this thing happen to me twice. I know logically it was probably my imagination, as I was an extremely imaginative kid, but I teleported. It wasn't far. Just like from the living room to my bedroom. LOL. I just remember I would close my eye and say, "Okay, I want to be in my bedroom now," and would hear a lightning crash and then I'd be in my room. The second time it happened, and I swear I flew in the house once, I was so shocked I told my mom, who obviously just played along, and then it never happened again. I was really bummed out and figured because I told someone about the semi-cool powers I had that they got taken away from me. LOL. I should add, this all happened when I was around 3 to 4 years old, but I have vividly remembered this my entire life, and I am 25, almost 26 now. Does anyone get any feelings from this room? So backstory: I regularly visit an antique store and have been in the room in the past with different merchants occupying this room. So I visited the antique store about a month ago, and this particular room has a new merchant in it. This time walking in, I felt a heaviness and generally felt very uncomfortable. Like my body saying a big nope, you need to leave. I got worse the more steps in I took. I didn't get a chance to look at any items in particular because it was so uncomfortable. Just a week ago I visited again and the merchant is still in the room. It tried to go in again just to see, and the feeling was the same but so much worse. I felt like I was suffocating. Something's not right in their XD. I figured they'll let me take a picture and maybe someone can see something in the photos, or what vibe, if any, you pick up. From the perspective of a harmless children's book, I watched hungrily as a child picked me up and started to read me. I provided as engaging a story as I possibly could, a setting full of enticement, strong heroic characters, and a villain that was challenging to defeat. As time passed, and the child identified more and more with the hero and the world in which he adventured, I knew I had reeled him in. I provided more obstacles that he was able to overcome, more wonders to sate even the most active imagination. He was more than halfway through me as the sun started to set on the horizon. I could feel his strength as he slew monsters as my main character. I fell to the floor with a clatter as he was sucked into me, one more child in a long line of victims. "How did this book fall off the shelf again?" asked the librarian as she placed me back on the shelf for the next reader. Has anyone experienced someone saying they have an appointment and they need to leave before they pass away? The night before my grandpa passed, he was in the hospital and he kept telling my grandma that he had an appointment and he needed to be somewhere. He tried to get up and walk away. Now he didn't have any appointment. This was all sudden, and 6 months to live turned to 6 weeks, then 2 weeks in a matter of a couple days, but it seemed he knew that he was leaving now. He slipped into a coma just a little bit after this and passed away the next morning. Has anyone experienced someone close to death saying they need to be somewhere, like they knew what was going to happen? Edit: I'm really trying to read all your responses, but honestly I just start crying. I really do appreciate all the responses though, and I didn't phrase this question well, so I apologize for the confusion. I hope all of you are doing well. I know it's a tough subject. His flight was late. His flight had landed late at Los Angeles International. It was supposed to have landed much earlier, but instead landed at 12:30. He noted the time on his wristwatch as he rushed out of the airport, hand luggage in tow. As he passed a quaint cafe, he glanced at their large flat screen which was set to a news channel. He abruptly stopped and stared in horror. On the TV were jarring images of an aircraft fuselage on a runway, engulfed in flames. The image was punctuated with a breaking news bulletin at the bottom. Breaking news: aircraft suffers major mechanical malfunction during landing at Los Angeles International. All souls aboard perish. He felt sick as he watched the images flicker across the TV screen. The feeling worsened when he realized it was his flight. The one that had just landed. The one he had just disembarked, not moments ago. It had crashed at 12:30. And everyone aboard had died. Holy SHT, I found my community in Western Australia Tasker say pretty sure one of the last houses down. It's like a drive-in road with houses going down. Anyway 2022/2023 I'm not completely sure, but it was while this little apartment complex was under construction I went inside the house next to it. It was dark and eerie, then for a split second I saw a tall red humanoid that reached the doorframe and a thing with this weird horn-like bumps on its head. Edit for those who are asking what happened next. I don't think anything happened since, but I'm pretty sure the same day I got back home the roof manhole was open and no one touched it / no one was really tall enough to open it either, and I've recently been hearing crawling in the roof. We're trying to figure out if it's just rats or something else. Call me paranoid, but I feel like the crawling sounds too heavy to be mice. I am a doctor and I have managed to cure a form of racism. If I could cure all forms of racism then I would, but unfortunately I could only cure one form of racism. The immune system is so racist because it doesn't allow any foreign entity to enter or to exist inside the body. The immune system K*LLS anything foreign that enters the body without a second thought. I hate racism, and now as a doctor I could take out one form of racism which people are born with. People are born with an immune system, but there are those lucky ones who are born without an immune system. Last week I secretly K*led this form of racism among patients, and now their bodies are free from this racist immune system. Now their bodies will accept everything as one and equal. People are complaining of feeling hot and dizzy. It could be just because they are racist. You know what, I might just free myself of this form of racism as well. You should too. I can see your auras whether you're dead or alive, so my house happens to be rather old. Over a century old. And in my house minus me and my pets is 3 ghosts. Since I was young I've been able to see an outline of colors surrounding people. Hell, sometimes these things I call puppeteers floating behind people that control them. However, the only way they can be seen is if the person is known well enough. Anyways, back to the aura s***. The 3 ghosts in my house happen to be mostly friendly. The worst thing they've done though was throw a strainer at my sisters. I can actually see these dudes walking around the house, and they're only outlines. How I know it's not fake is that even my pets will be staring where they're at. If anyone else has seen stuff like this, can you tell about it? I just want to know I'm not crazy. By the way, first time posting, sorry if it's bad, Omega.